All right, in this video, I want to share my perspective and a story here on South Africa and what's actually happening here and why we should actually care about this situation and how it affects us here in America. So, just a couple years back, Ben, a guy from South Africa, actually moved in with me, and he was living with me as a roommate. Great freaking dude, all around. I mean, just an absolute savage of a guy. I mean, in a complimented way. He had a green card, and his dad was into business, and I think his brother was an attorney, and he came out here in to do business, and he ended up moving in with me, and he was a freaking great guy, just an absolute carnivore, taught me all about meat, and he told me some stories, though, about back in South Africa. Now, he's a white guy, about how dangerous it was and why he left, really motivation. First of all, like the violence that he told me about was insane. When I say savage, I mean rugged, dude. He was rugged. Okay, he was a very he'd been through he was battle hardened. He told me about some of the stories that he'd been in and fights and just battles that he survived. Out there, it's dangerous. So he moved out here, got his green card, and completely different. Out here, obviously. But he told me about some of the stories about how these people would go. These savages would come out to the white farmers and just take the farm and steal it and kill the farmers. This was 2019, 2020. He tells me about this story. I'm thinking like, what? Like, how can those people even have any property value? If you have property, and who would want to buy a farm and buy property if you buy it and somebody just comes on your land, steals it, and then murders you? And then nothing happens. Property value just goes to zero, I guess. I mean, who would want to buy that? Nobody would want to live there. So it has almost zero value. So it not only just affected his economy, but he's telling me these stories, and it's just insane how it all was going out. So now, yesterday, I'm watching the live press conference. I guess President Trump had brought in the South African president and some of the officials in there. And he plays a video, and this guy, who's not just some random guy, he had a stadium full of people, like 20,000 people in a stadium. And apparently he's part of parliament and one of the parties, a minority party from what they say, but one of the parties. And he had a giant stadium full of people chanting that kill the white farmer. They have a chant that they do, kill the farmer, cut their throat, kill him with a machete, take a machine gun, kill him. I mean, that was the chant. It's the real thing. And they played this at the White House inside the Oval Office yesterday. In front of this guy, he says, what are you going to do about this? And he brings in like three golfers from South Africa, and they're talking about how they're sharing their story about how their property value has gone down and how dangerous it is just to be there. We should care about this, no matter if you've never been to South Africa. I haven't. I know my buddy Ben, like I said, he's from there. So he lived with me. So at least I care about, what happens to him and his family. But just overall for humanity, we should care about it. But here's the other reason. Because property value, like in order for property to have any value, if you think about this, we have to have government infrastructure and laws. It's called really just law and order to protect it. But this is a great example of the absolute devastation that an area finds without law and order. So this country over here, great people, great country, but savages living on out there, just coming in and taking people's farms with machetes, machine gunning them, and building thousands and thousands of crosses of all the dead white farmers. And then these people that visit the president yesterday doing nothing about it, saying, "Oh, they're just a minority party. There's nothing we can do about it." President Trump's calling them out yesterday, saying, "You better do something about it." What that means is that you've got a short time frame to fix that problem over there, because your people, they need to have a safe place to live. They can't just come onto the property. If people gun them down, you need to put those people and punish them who did that. You can't just let them be free and immune and go have a stadium party with 10,000 people at the stadium and chant that all over again, and that's no big deal. That is unacceptable. That's crimes against humanity. And so I would see, very, very soon that we're going to see military action coming into South Africa real soon, most likely, because I don't I can't imagine how those people are going to fix it in the government out there. They're not doing anything about it now. So, and that's super important to property values. And it shows perspective for like why we should truly value the laws and orders in the United States of America right now, because we have not only laws and order, but ways to enforce those protected rights, or I would say constitutional protections, because in many court cases they said that a 14th Amendment citizen doesn't have any rights anymore. All he has is constitutional, is the only right he has is to enforce his constitutional protections. So that's really the way to say it. But for the natural men or the nationals or state citizens of the state citizens, I mean they do have all these constitutional rights. And so it's ultimately, I mean, they've got to find a way to really be grateful about what we have and why it's just not complete chaos. Now, we'll share one more story in Oakland, out in the Bay Area. So I had hired a plumber, okay, and he told me about he'd like a regular plumber. I'd worked with him many times. And so he'd been to my place like 3 times or so over the last, number of years. So cool guy. And then he's telling me about a story about when he was in Oakland. And as he was there doing a job, he gets robbed at gunpoint in his truck. So the thugs get out, machine guns, take him to the head, give us all your equipment, your money at his right there in his truck. Okay. He calls 911. They don't show up. He's waiting. They don't even show up. He waited there. I mean, he just waited there hours. They never made it. They never came. Oakland is the most similar city to the just absolute insanity that's going on out there in South Africa right now. From what my plumber's personal story is they have, if you're not already dead and they didn't kill somebody, I guess it's better in South Africa, because if they kill you over there, they don't do anything about it. But in Oakland, they'll actually come if you are dead. But if you get robbed at gunpoint, you got a gun to your head and you're calling 911, it's too bad. They don't even show up. Now, if you go just one city over, let's say Piedmont, and it's its own little district, world of difference. You call 911, they're on you freaking immediately. If you go just a little over to San Francisco, same thing. They're going to come. As long as you're in Nob Hill or one of the other nicer areas, they'll come. If you're in the Tenderloin, the police station's right there anyway, so they just, they don't even bother. But it's definitely jurisdictional. So, I mean, I just wanted to share my perspective on why we should really be super grateful for laws and orders and learning the law. Because when we know the law, we know how to use the law, how to enforce it, and then we can prevent these types of things and stop these types of things. Because these people in law enforcement, it's not just their responsibility. They have a duty to follow, and they do a damn good job. I'll be honest, they do a really good job. I mean, I'm extremely proud of for the people that serve us in law enforcement. Now, but it's our job to actually take the responsibility. We have to we have to press the charges. I remember a buddy of mine, he got charged with a crime, and the cops wrote on the reports that it was actually a citizen arrest for another guy. So the wrongdoer, he actually did a citizen's arrest, or the cop had him sign that form, so that he took the liability and the responsibility for pressing the charge against the other guy. So that way the cop was immune completely, because the guy who arrested him was actually the citizen, and the cop was just enforcing it. That's 837 of the Penal Code. 837 of the Penal Code. So fascinating story. We have incredibly good out here in California. That's why I'm not leaving, man. It's amazingly good. I mean, think about what they're going through in America overall, so send out some prayers and thoughts. And I hope that there is some sort of military intervention, because human rights or property rights are just completely being destroyed, apparently, in South Africa. And I can't say I hope. I just say it is. I think that's what's going to happen, and hopefully they'll clean that up out there. It's just insanity. So check it out. It's all over the internet right now. So, all right, hit the ones. My name's Gavin. I'll see you at the top.